So to know the story behind the funny secrets and antics of Mintic and Friends, today we have Husein Ali as the writer of Mintic and Jacqueline Emanuela as the illustrator as well. Both of us are joining us online right now. Good morning, Ali and Emanuela.
Hello, how are you guys?
Hello.
Good
Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, now let's start with Mas Ali first. Mas Ali, can you please explain to us how did you start Mintic Animation?
Oh yeah. So, did you know that before the pandemic hits, Twitter developed its own subculture and it's called Manfest, which is an acronym for Men Confessions. So the way it worked, yeah, the way it works is actually simple, but it's fascinating. Like there are accounts who will open their direct message for anyone to confess about anything, and then this particular account will post it as its own tweet, and it's all automated.
Oh, okay.
So so the sender of the confession remains anonymous.
Okay.
Now, in this subculture, I managed to meet Emanuela, and this is the time where I think our ideas accidentally cross-pollinated, which gave birth to Mintic IP, Mintic Animation, so on and so forth.
Oh,
So, yeah,
okay.
at first we created a simple account, which was a place for anyone to rant and have some conversation about their workplace. Yeah. You know, we all secretly agree that our work life has a lot of euphemism and sugarcoating, right?
Yeah.
Which is why the golden rule is not to badmouth your employer and your workplace. But this is actually a double-edged knife because I believe if you never say about anything, then no one will actually know if there are some kind of violation of our rights.
Okay, so
Right.
this is the stories of everyone that was submitted to the account, right?
Oh yeah, of course. And then that's why I think based on this, actually, if we are just going to use this account, this is not going to be sustainable in the long term. So we try to create something that maybe to preserve our ideas, we create IP or Mintic characters. So basically, even though maybe the subculture might make ends, but however, the Mintics may continue because Mintic IP itself, the character itself, I think it will not fade as easily as the other characters. For example, if this is just a simple account, then I think once it has lost its audience, then it's not going to return as easy as to be easy. And then, for example, if this account was created as an IP, for example, you remember Unyil, right? You will remember the character. So we want to try to make sure that this kind of struggles, this kind of ideas, we want to create some leverage for workers, and this Mintic account is hopefully can help people to understand more about the work life and so Mintic is the place for you to rant, but you don't. If you don't want to rant, then Mintic will present it for you, and then if you have and then if you want to talk about something, you can talk to Mintic, and all the stories we created here was based on true stories, so we inspired by them, and so we are going to tell you about the stories, so you don't have to experience the same stories.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it relatable as well, right? Like, I mean, obviously these are real stories, so these are real people, and there's a lot of people that share the same thoughts and feelings as well.
Of course.
But every story is only just as good as the characters that support it. So let's go to Emanuela. As an illustrator, tell us a little bit about the process in how you ended up choosing the animal as your cartoon character, and why overall I mean, it's a great idea, approaching work life, but how did you guys arrive at that angle?
So from what I see as a worker, we sometimes feel tired with our monotonous work life. Not to mention, we know there are a lot of problems within Indonesia working culture, right? Hence, we teach the worker as the core, basically to represent the voice of workers and to remind them that they are not alone. They are not alone, and we're all on this together. That all of us can feel tired or maybe angry, but it's okay to express those feelings sometimes. Therefore, we built this kind of safe zone for them where they can relate with the stories and feel the same with other people. But however, I want Mintic to entertain the readers, so I thought the comic should be fun and light, easy to read, and also has comedy sides in the stories. That's why I choose expressive animal characters, probably because maybe as a kid I was inspired a lot by so many animal cartoons, which are entertaining. Probably some of us know, like Winnie the Pooh, Sing,
Yes.
Kung Fu
Yeah.
Panda, Madagascar. Yeah, it's so familiar, right? And entertaining. For me, animals have a lot of interesting sides to work and expression to make it into comedy stories.
I see.
But Mintic was made as a duck, especially because I like duck, and a duck was known for its temper, quack a lot, but still looks cute and not scary.
Yeah.
True.
No one feel intimidated, but yet somehow it feels comedic and refreshing. So, considering we want to entertain our audience, we want to make our comic characters as enjoyable as possible. The
I
story sometimes maybe depicted a bleak reality of our work life, but we want people to enjoy it, to read it after tiring daily at work.
Yeah, perfect.
I see. Now, Emanuela, I also want to know how's the process? Tell me about the process. How long did you make the storyline? And, to draw a story from, we know that this is true stories from people who are submitting their stories to the account. So tell me more about that.
Actually, in the process, we work in one big team under Seruni Creative. So all of us have a session where we brainstorm and talk about our ideas together. Like we share a lot of ideas and news, and could be our own experience that we can make into interesting stories for Mintic. Like probably I'm telling my story about my work. Like it's so tiring this week. Can we make it into the story? So it's like the example. So everyone in the team always try to keep up with updates about what is going on around us. Therefore, we don't really need a long time to find any inspiration and such, since we share our ideas and work together.
I see. But
And for me,
if you
yeah.
work on the ideas about your work life, would it offend your boss at work because you work in the same team?
Not really. Like actually,
point.
we always share it together. Like today's client is kind of tiring, right? Yeah. Everyone kind of agrees with it.
Okay.
So like, yeah, we work in this together.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's kind of go back to Masali for a second and kind of talk a little bit about Mintic itself. What is the meaning of Mintic?
Yeah. So, did you know that I think everyone is know that the one who manage social media usually called as admin
Okay.
or
Mimin.
min for short. Yeah, Mimin. And then Mintic is a dog, or the character is a dog, so we call it Tik. So let's combine it and then it becomes
Mintic.
I think that's a simple idea. Yeah, that's a general idea.
There
It's
you go.
simple.
All right. Now, how did you develop this this idea, this Mintic, into illustration to business wise? How do you monetize Mintic?
So when we talk about animation business, especially in the current Indonesian landscape, I think, to be honest, it is very challenging to make it sustainable
Okay.
as a business. So yeah, most of Indonesian IP animation and all creative business revenue was generated from advertising with brands especially. So it's a business to business model. And then
Okay.
even in this space, you have to compete with another influencer.
Of course.
So, yeah, to make it sustainable, we have to collaborate with another team. And in this case, we collaborate with Sony, a creative digital agency who has the same vision as us. They help us to grow our team. So the way we finance Mintic is by cross-subsidizing Mintic with the funds that we got from our real jobs out there. So this becomes like a hostile, passionate one.
Ah,
And I believe, yeah, all creators and authors out there in Indonesia are also doing the same thing. So we have our ambition to go global because if we want to diversify our source of revenue, then I think we need to go global. Because in the Indonesian market itself, we will use the advertisement, the B2B model as our source of revenue to sustain our business. While in the global market, I think we will be more into a business which involves the customer, so B2C models.
Okay, now let's look ahead into the future a little bit, Masali. I've got a
Yeah.
slightly different question for each of you. So, what are your hopes for, as we've seen Indonesian animation industry grown over the past 2 decades immensely, especially with the fact that, we have such technological advancements when it comes to software animation and things of that sort. Where do you see Indonesia's cartoon industry in the near future?
I believe in terms of creativity, our artists, animators, illustrators, and all of the creative people in Indonesia are more than ready to compete in the global market. However, in terms of the industry itself, I think we still need a lot of support from the government.
Okay.
You know that K-pop became a global soft power because the South Korea government treats K-pop the way we treat our manufacturing industries.
Correct.
yeah.
Well, yeah, its government helps promote and export K-pop to the global market. So I believe this should be our benchmark, and hopefully the Indonesian government will look at our creative industry as its own major opportunity and treat it the way they treated our other industries. So we need policies from the government
Yeah.
to provide a great better space for innovations, the distributions of intellectual property, and improve the whole economic linkage for the creative industry. So this creative industry from the animators, the illustrator, designers, animation, and so on and so forth can easily be flourished in Indonesian landscape. I think that will be my hope.
The dream.
Yeah, and I do believe like there's so many government collaborations that can be done as well.
Yeah, of
For
course.
example,
Yeah.
creating educational programming.
Yeah, for illustrators.
Yeah, exactly, and things of that
Yeah.
sort. So let's, speaking of illustrators, let's close this off with Emanuela. What's next for Mintic?
I think my hope for Mintic is I want Mintic to reach other platforms in many ways. We've been hoping for Mintic to develop into another form, such animations, and also maybe weekly comic series like webtoon.
That's nice.
In my opinion, the work of animation in Indonesia has already grown so much, and I hope Mintic could reach to that point as well.
Hey, amen.
I also hope that animation made in Indonesia is going to be more widely known, not only domestically but also internationally, to show that Indonesia is no less creative and great at producing animation.
Well said.
Nice.
Perfect. Thank you both so much for your time.
Thank you,
and,
Emanuela.
certainly very entertaining
Yep.
stuff. Please do continue
so much.
to give us more great content like that.
Good luck for Mintic.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.